One of the most important things that you can do as you progress through life is to keep growing and evolving as a person. I mean, look at Goku. Was he happy just being a Super Saiyan 1? No, he kept training so he could eventually grow into a Super Saiyan 2.
This is a Super Saiyan. And this is what is known as a Super Saiyan that has ascended past a Super Saiyan.
Anyways, one of the ways that I love to learn new things and grow is by reading books. And it's funny because growing up, I used to hate reading. There would be times in school where my English teacher would assign a chapter or two to read for homework, and I would be so lazy that I would look up the chapter summaries instead. I realized later in life I actually didn't hate reading at all. It's just that I haven't discovered the books that I like reading yet. I realized that I like books that talk about ideas that I can put into action in my own life or in my business. Or books about people that have done amazing things that can inspire me to do the same. So here are 5 books that I've read recently that have had a big impact on my life. Let's get into it. The first book is The Happiness Advantage by Shawn Achor. This book talks about how most people have this idea in their head that if they work hard, they will become successful, and that success will eventually lead to happiness. But after doing some research and looking into studies, Shawn actually found the opposite to be true. People who are happy to begin with end up being more successful later in life because of it. It's sort of like how back in the day, everyone thought the sun revolved around the earth, but later we discovered that it was the opposite that was true. The earth revolved around the sun. Shawn goes into detail about how these studies were conducted, and it's pretty convincing. This book is just a reminder for me that you have to do what makes you happy. If you're going into work every day and you hate what you do, maybe you're thinking if you just sacrifice a few more years of your life, maybe you'll hit that promotion, or maybe you'll make X amount of money, and then you'll be happy. Most of the time, you're not going to be. Happiness doesn't come from success. Success comes from being happy in what you do. So find what you love to do and pursue it. The second book is 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. If you don't know Peter Thiel, he was a co-founder of PayPal and worked alongside Elon Musk. He has some contradictory ideas about business that I'm sure are true because everyone that worked with them branched up and started their own companies that ended up being wildly successful as well. The main thing I took away from this book is that competition kills profits. You'll hear a lot of people say that competition is good for business, but if you're finding that you have a lot of competition, it might be because your product isn't differentiated enough. If your products are too similar to other competitors, then the only thing that you can do to compete is to lower your prices. And eventually, if everyone's doing that, no one's going to make money. You need to focus on making your product so great that it can escape the competition, so you're no longer competing with them. For example, take a look at when Apple first came out with the iPod in 2001. There were already flash-based MP3 players on the market, but they only carried about a CD's worth of songs. There were also hard drive-based MP3 players, but they were big and chunky. When the iPod came out, you can now carry 1,000 songs in a small device that fits in your pocket. Apple was able to escape the competition because their product was so much better than the rest. I always come back to this book and try to apply the ideas to my own business. I'm always trying to find ways that I can escape my competition. Peter Thiel also covers a lot of other useful topics, like dominating a small market before moving into a larger one. Overall, it's a really good book that offers an inside look into how one of the most successful entrepreneurs think. The next book I want to talk about is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I've already talked about this book in my past videos. Atomic Habits is all about how small things can add up to make a big difference. If you get 1% better every day, by the end of the year, you'll be 37 times better than when you started. This also means that getting 1% worse will add up too. I used to think that if I wanted to achieve some big goal in life, I had to do big things to match it. But this isn't true at all. You really achieve big goals by changing the small things that you do every day, as long as you do them every day. This book talks about methods that you can use in your daily life to build good habits, and it also talks about things that you can do to break a bad one too. There's so many things that we know that we should do, but then we just don't, like eating healthy or exercising, or working on that side business instead of watching Netflix all night. Even though we know these things are good for us in the long term, it's hard to stay consistent with them every day. This book really helped me establish good habits that are helping me reach my long-term goals, one step at a time. The next book I want to talk about is Storyworthy by Matthew Dix. This book talks a lot about the different techniques and tips that you can use to become a better storyteller, but the biggest thing that I took away from it was an idea called homework for life. Matthew has an exercise that he does every night where he reflects on his day and writes down the most story-worthy thing that happened that day. He recommends you do this every day for the rest of your life. This exercise has 2 benefits. Number 1 is that you'll have more to talk about. Before I started doing this, a lot of the times I would meet up with somebody and they would ask me how my week or how my day was. And I would just say good, because I felt like I didn't have anything better to say. But when you're doing homework for life and you're reflecting on the most story-worthy moments of your life, you can actually tell them interesting things. Sharing these stories with people can make you feel more connected with them in a way that you just couldn't before. Benefit number 2 is that you'll actually remember more of your life. There are times when I'll look back on my list of story-worthy moments and I can vividly remember them. I can close my eyes and think about it, and it'll actually bring me back into that moment of time in my life. If you're asking what I was doing exactly 1 month ago today, I could actually go into my list and see what I was doing. If you asked me that before I started doing homework for life, I really wouldn't remember it at all. That day would be completely lost to me. So even if you don't read the book, I think the homework for life is a very useful exercise. It might sound like a lot of work, but all it really takes is 2 minutes at the end of the day. The key is to keep it simple so that you keep up with it. The last book I want to talk about is called Anything You Want by Derek Sivers. This is all about a story about how just a regular guy accidentally built a gigantic business. Derek was a musician who was looking to sell his CDs online. And when he couldn't find anyone to do it for him, he decided to learn how to code and to make the website himself. After a while, other musicians that he knew wanted to sell their CDs online too, so he just put their CDs onto his website too. Eventually, he just grew bigger and bigger until he created this huge company that was working with other businesses like Apple and Spotify. And then after a while, he realized that he didn't enjoy running a huge company like that, and then he decided to exit. One of my favorite quotes from the book is, "Never forget why you're really doing what you're doing. Are you helping people? Are they happy? Are you happy? Are you profitable? Isn't that enough?" It's just a reminder that you have to do what makes you happy. You have to prioritize it over everything else, over the sales, over growth. If you're not doing what makes you happy, then why are you doing it? These books have made such a big impact in my life. If they seem interesting to you, be sure to check them out. Even if you haven't picked up a book in a while, maybe this video can be the nudge that you need to start reading again. Also, if you have any book recommendations for me, be sure to leave a comment down below. I'm always looking to add more books to my reading list. But that's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.